First and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and I run that system back to biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, Martin, here we go. You hot 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. Martin Houston Show fan page. You can always find it being simulcast at Martin Houston Live on Facebook and YouTube, as well as at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter and at Tide 109 on Facebook as well. So join us in all of those various places to watch the show. You also can take us with you wherever you go by downloading the Tide 109 app for your smartphone and device. And if you happen to be locked down in front of a computer somewhere, then easily log into tide109.com and you can find what's going on and keep up with the great radio broadcasts that are happening throughout the day. And if you want to catch up on the article and you're a person that likes to read, then you also can find all the great articles there as well as at tide109.com. Reminding you that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. I want to invite you to get in on the program and be a part of the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business, and so we'd love to interact and engage with you today to get your thoughts. It's a free-for-all Flashback Friday. We'll hit some topics that may have happened earlier in the week, as well as the latest and the greatest in the news and sporting world involving your Alabama Crimson Tide, as well as news from around the SEC. Good morning, Joe. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great today, Martin. Happy it's Friday. Ready to kick off the Friday and see what the weekend has in store for us.
Oh, yeah. The weekend is up on us, and we will definitely be heading that way with the Alabama Crimson Tide basketball team having a chance to maybe, Joe, just in time redeem themselves with a rematch against the Missouri Tigers, which kind of, I think, derailed this team, at least momentarily, as that's kind of when this when the 3-game skid really happened, a really bad loss. And, you know, if you think about it, if you take out that loss, then the other 2 losses would not have been quite as bad. But since that was such a disappointing, I think they were a 13-point favorite, ended up losing. Then that magnified the next 2 losses. Of course, one of those coming to the number 2 team in the country, the Auburn Tigers. But they have a chance to continue their winning ways as they took down the LSU Tigers 70-67 to end a 3-game skid, as well as beat the LSU Tigers 5 times in a row. So it looks like LSU is right now a team that Alabama has their number, at least in time running right now. But we were going to get to that game yesterday, so we'll go ahead and get to that today. Talk about the good, the bad, the ugly from that game and what this Crimson Tide team needs to do if they're going to right the ship. So love to have you all call in and talk to us about that. So we'll come back to that in just a moment. Other things that we want to get to in today's program is the Georgia Bulldogs Are they going to help fill a cupboard at the Alabama Crimson Tide? Um, you can see out there in the sporting world, and as I said, I have a couple of insiders that love themselves from Georgia Bulldogs, and have to work with them each and every day. And they seem to think that Alabama's going to get some good news on a couple fronts from the Georgia Bulldogs, and that the Tide has not quit rolling out of Georgia with the announcement of Stetson Bennett returning. Even though he's a national championship winning quarterback, he still, I think, is not an outsider, but he still has not won over the love and support of the Georgia nation. So we could definitely talk about that, and Nick Saban and his use of the transfer portal. Alabama getting some good news potentially, or is it good news? I guess that's the question I want to ask you. Is the fact that Jalen Moody announced he's coming back, is that good news for the Crimson Tide? Would you like to see him back at the Crimson Tide, and does he have a legit shot to be the guy? Again, will he be replaced once again? No decision is made, but supposedly took his name out of the portal, which could mean that he's staying, or could mean that he's saying, you know what, I've gave this thing a good run, and I'm going to just leave my college career as an Alabama Crimson Tider, stay connected with the University of Alabama. We'll talk about that. If you'd like to get into that conversation, love to get your thoughts on that as well. And just some other miscellaneous questions we can get to from a Bill O'Brien standpoint. Doesn't look like he's going anywhere. So does that excite you as an Alabama fan, that Bill O'Brien is coming back as your OC? And if that's the case, good, bad, and different, what are your thoughts there? And we'll also begin the process of looking at grades and needs for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So, Joe, I love myself some basketball. Wish I could, be even more engaged in it than I am. But Alabama Crimson Tide, man, a month ago, we thought this team could be a legit Final Four contender. And they had a couple of shaky games after the Gonzaga game, but managed to win. But then that Missouri game seemed to have derailed them completely, and they were reeling for a couple of games. But the big thing there is they did get the ship righted against LSU. What are your thoughts and assessment of this team as it stands today? Is this still a potential Final Four team, or did we just get overhyped early?
Well, Martin, I think it's I think it's a great question. But Nate Oates after the game Wednesday was asked similarly, how far away are you guys from like really competing, really contending? And he said, oh, we're right there. We just have a couple of lapses here and there to correct. Oh man, Martin, talent wise, I think the team's got the talent. They're really struggling in the confidence area. They had a good first half shooting shooting the three ball, and then they go over 15 in the second half.
Yeah,
shooting the three ball.
Yeah,
like it's just the team's very weird right now, and really the inconsistencies coming in on the defensive end, the effort, the rebounding. What I loved on Wednesday was really after the first or second possession, Keon Ellis missed an assignment on a rebound, and he got yanked out of the game right then. Like Coach Oates didn't let it keep on. He was subbing guys in left and right. As soon as they missed assignments, you were out.
Yeah.
So I do think the team has like the potential and the capabilities to still contend for an SEC tournament title, to contend for take a long way in the NCAA tournament. Now the SEC the regular season championship, like we all wanted, that's a little hard at this moment. Like it might be out of reach, but most of the goals are still right there, Martin. But it's just a matter of being consistent day in and day out. Coach Oates talked about the maturity level of his team and how he was unimpressed because he talked about how anybody can get up for top 15 LSU coming into your house. Like, of course, like you're going to get excited. But you got to stay excited. You got to bring that same intensity when you're playing the Missouris of the world. You look at our next two games, Martin. You're playing Missouri and Georgia, two of the worst two teams in the SEC. But then the next three games, Baylor, Auburn, and Kentucky. I don't want this team looking ahead to those. You got a 5-game stretch. You got a 5-game stretch, and you got to take care of the two chumps before you can take on the champs.
That's right.
Level of team. So the team's very inconsistent, Martin. And like while the talent is still there, I'm questioning if it's going to get ironed out.
Yeah, we can kind of talk about this, and we'll get into it on the other side as well. And once again, the phone lines are open if you want to agree, disagree, or chime in and bring a different angle. But talent-wise, the talent hasn't gone anywhere. In Gonzaga, when they beat them, that was not a bad team. Okay, and so Gonzaga is a team that will be a mountaintop team. Okay, I mean they're gonna be in the conversation. So Houston is not a bad team. So those two wins are still legit wins, right? And think about this: in the midst of our bad play stretch, the number 2 team in the country, we walked them down, Joe, and it was 70. I think at one point we came back and we were down by 13. We tied the game up, and it was almost like we had a brain fart and just said, oh, hey, we worked really hard to get back into this game, and then we stopped making good decisions. We stopped, doing what we were doing. And I will say this, Nate Oates, in that game, he made a sub, I think, that changed the momentum. J.D. Davison in that game was playing lights out. I think he had one turnover against Auburn at that point. And then, Quinterly was a guy that was, kind of shaky in that game. And then Quinterly had the wide open 3 and he didn't take it. And so there were several things that happened in that game. You're like, okay, we're not even playing good. And we still were relevant until the last minute and a half, 2 minutes of that game. So Joe, you can look at it and see, okay, there's a skeleton here that could be fleshed out to be a contender. What are those things we have to flesh out? That's the conversation we're going to have about this Alabama Crimson Tide team as we come back from break. What are the things we need to flesh out on this basketball team, as well as what things may have already been done that may put this team in the right direction like it did last year? And can this team get back there? That's the conversation we're having. We want to invite you to get in on it. Love to hear your thoughts right here on the Martin Houston Show. Thanks to Taco Casa. They host a hotline. The Taco Casa hotline, 205-342-9904, is open for business. Don't forget to go use Taco Casa for your lunch and dinner options. Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. Right here on the Martin Houston Show. That conversation up next.
I can go from 0 to 60 way too fast.
Who knew electric vehicle owners were having so much fun?
20 or 30 years ago, I owned a gas sports car, and this car is much quicker.
It's a great, fun car to drive. When you put your foot on the accelerator, it just goes.
They're fun, they're fast, they're efficient.
Visit driveelectricalabama.com to learn how you can start having fun driving an electric vehicle.
Sponsored by the Alabama Clean Fuels Coalition, the ABA, and this station.
Creamy nut butter makes it delightfully sweet. Roasted nuts make it perfectly salty. Get 2 great tastes in one delicious bar. Enjoy a Nature Valley sweet and salty nut bar today.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account, and only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Labor, ABA, and the station. The Alabama Department of Labor is an equal opportunity employer program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
Be sure to join the University of Alabama's Black Faculty and Staff Association for their scholarship ball on Saturday evening, February 5th from 6 to 10. This funding opportunity aids BFSA in awarding scholarships, funding student-centered programming, and more. Each ticket purchase covers parking, admission, entertainment, dinner, and one specialty drink ticket. There will be an on-site cash bar as well. Tickets can be purchased now through their website at bfsa.ua.edu. That's bfsa.ua.edu.
Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They get Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They're dependable, they're trustworthy. That's why they've lasted for over 36 years. Skyland Boulevard, McFarland Boulevard East, and Northport on Celine Wallace Boulevard. Check out the website TuscaloosaTireandService.com.
Yes, Martin, I've got something for you. You want me to play it coming out?
Yes, sir.
James Spann on the ABC 3340.
You got it. And George from Macon is on hold. He just called.
Doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at southmarkdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Beat the number one team in the country on a semi-neutral. It's basically a road game in Seattle. We had the number 2 team in the country on the ropes late in the game. Had an open shot in the corner to put us up 1 with a minute to go. Missed or didn't take it. We're there. We've got to piece the whole thing together. We can't do it for parts of a game. We can't do it one game, not do it another game. Our wins are good. Our losses are bad. You think about, I'm sure the next team we have coming in, we didn't play hard enough to win in Missouri. It's not something I want to be said about our teams. We lose games because of an effort deal. We shouldn't be talking about effort, coaching effort. We are. Thought we gave a great effort tonight. Now, are we going to have the maturity to give a great effort again on Saturday, do it again the next game? We got to get to the point where we're not coaching effort. We're coaching adjustments in the game. We're running plays, not fighting with them to give us an effort. When we get there, we'll be one of the best teams in the country because we've proven, our guys get up for big games. Well, to me, that's really immature. If you get up for a big game, why can't you get up for every game? And if we got up for every game, our record would be a lot better than what it is right now.
I love an honest coach. I love a coach that's calling it like it is. And we got a couple comments on Facebook as well regarding this basketball team. And I have about 4 or 5 things that I think this team needs to do to get right. So I'll bring in those comments in just a moment as well. But Coach Nate Oates calling out effort. And that word in and of itself encapsulates, I think, a lot of what my concern is with this basketball team and this program. So we'll continue that conversation. But we do have a caller. And so we want to bring him in, and then we'll either continue the conversation with him or circle back to this conversation. But George from Macon, you are in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Martin, thanks for taking my call.
No doubt.
When I watch the games, what I see is, well, first off, I was so glad that Nate Oates did not start Quinterly. He's been playing what I consider hero ball. You know, he drives into, if the play's not there when he's driving into the middle, he still tries to make the play. They stop him, steal the ball. He makes bad passes. His shot is so inconsistent. And what I really don't understand is there are times when we're in transition and we have the numbers, but we can't finish the play.
Yeah.
Miss a shot or we try an alley-oop. And heck, if I was Nate Oates, I'd say whoever tries an alley-oop is coming out of the game because the alley-oop pass always gets intercepted. And our guard play has just been terrible.
Okay.
And what that tells me is that Herb Jones was a fantastic leader on the floor because we didn't make all those all those intercepted passes or dribble it into interference. He and Petty and Bruner, I mean, I think that when we lost that leadership, that we haven't filled that void yet, is that when we get into a tie, one person is trying to win the game by themselves, and you can't do it.
Ironically, George, early in the year, we didn't have the hero ball as much, and we had different guys. We won early in the year because different guys, when one guy was off, another guy would always step up. And we haven't had that as much down the stretch. But let me ask you a question. Is it possible, because, and one of the things that I had down on my list that they have to change, or that there was already a change that had been made, was regarding Quinterly. And Virgil Williams says Quinterly hasn't been the man for the most part this year. I heard that he came off the bench Wednesday night and played better. Maybe that's the key. Keep Q in check when he makes a stupid play, pull him and make him know we can't do that. Here's the question I have. Is the reason Quinterly, Nate Oates made this same move last year and it changed the direction of this team. But who came in, Joe, last year when Quinterly went down? Was it Primo? Wasn't it Primo?
That was
right. So what?
Primo play more.
Right. Primo began to play more. What is it? What if it's possible that when Quinterly started doing what he did last year, same type of thing, pushing too hard, trying to do too much, trying to be hero ball, Davidson wasn't there. He was turning the ball over as much or more as Quinterly. But starting a few games ago, he started playing a little bit better, right? The coaches had to have confidence that they could put Davidson in and him not turn the ball over any more than Quinterly did. Because when you take Quinterly off the court, you lose a legit three-point shooter in terms of Davidson. So as far as player for player. So they couldn't just put him in there, lose the shooting, and keep the turnovers high, right? So there had to be a trade-off. And so I just wonder, do they now have more confidence in Davidson because he's playing better and has matured, and therefore Quinterly, who from what they said the other night, Quinterly helped initiate this. This wasn't just Coach Oates putting Quinterly on the bench. It says Quinterly went to him and said, "Hey, Coach, I played better coming off the bench last year. Let's try it." So that's a sign of maturity and growth that may also help this team. Thoughts?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Mark. But what I don't understand is this. Obviously, everybody watches film from last year and this year, and they know exactly what Quinterly is going to do when he gets the ball. And when the play's not there, if you're going to be a point guard, or if you're going to take the lead with the ball, before they cave in on you, he's got to pass it away. They're not letting him make those underhanded layups and those baskets that he did last year because they know exactly what he's going to do. And another thing that
gets to me is, remember 3 or 4 years ago, before Nate got there, we hit the 10-minute mark in the second half, and everything would blow up, and we make turnovers. And against Mississippi State, we had many times we could have won the game and get ahead, but we turned the ball over. And it wasn't what you would call difficult plays. We just throw the ball away, like here, y'all can have it. And we're having those moments now, and I don't really understand it.
Well, I think I know what's going on there. I'll give my thoughts, and Joe, you're welcome to jump in here at any point. I think there's a couple things. One is this team, after Missouri, their confidence was gone. Okay, and when confidence goes, George, it can be tough to for us as fans, we're like, hey, just do it. But when you're questioning and wondering and doubting, when you're on a drive, that pass isn't as crisp. That pass isn't as sure. You're not as confident in receiving the pass. You're not as confident in making the pass. And all of those, and a lot of times you go back and look, there's not this huge margin of error between our big wins this year and our bad losses. You go back and look, like I said, against Auburn, we came all the way back. What were we doing, man? We were focused. We were intense. The crowd was hype. It was a lot of whatever. But then once we got there and Auburn made one defensive play, from that point on, Auburn owned us the rest of the game, because it's almost like, okay, here we go again. And that lack of confidence. Yeah. And Nate Oates said effort, but I think that C.J. Watt said this, and he said, I missed the first part of the conversation. This team is not as tough as last year's team. It was part of their identity. This team is a far more finesse team. Last year, Bama dictated tempo. This team hopes they can play fast enough. The hard hat element isn't there. Hope they can find it. They're really good, but not tough like last year. A couple of players are tough, but it's not the team identity like it was last year. Herb Jones last year willed this team to be a tough team. They all bought in and all followed him. And I thought that's what Gary was going to do for us this year early in the season. But this team, when you hit them in the mouth or you push back, they absorb the hit. They don't deliver the blows. That makes sense?
Well, it does. But what's funny, Martin? Some people you didn't expect to be like Miles has played well. Bediako, to be a freshman now, he's not, when he gets a rebound or has a shot into the basket, I forgot what game it was, but he missed 4 straight shots right under the basket.
Yeah.
And those 4 shots would have given us 8 points, and then we'd let the other team off the hook instead of taking command.
Right.
I think you're right. Herb Jones willed us into taking command, and this team will show flashes of it, but then I don't know if they get fatigued or whatever it is, but they turn into that, terrible team.
Yeah.
But that's my comments, and thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Thanks, George. When you look at this team, Joe, this is a very, very talented team. I think their confidence was stripped. And when you don't have confidence and your effort is not there, you're gonna be in a spell like Alabama's been. Joe, see if you assess this. This team was doing well and playing at a high level. But we won the Houston game. But what do you think happened in that Houston game? Because since that game, this has been a different team. Do you think anything happened from a mental standpoint, a physicality standpoint, that everybody else since that time has taken advantage of?
Well, Martin, I think in the Houston game was one of the first games of the year where we really got bodied on the offensive line.
There we go.
Really got a lot of offensive rebounds.
There we go.
With them. So I think that was it. Maybe it's taken a little bit of time for the team to find their guts a little bit, find their sand a little bit. I think in the LSU game, this our most recent game, I think the effort was much better.
Yep.
But you've been hitting with George right there, the confidence, and I think, oh my gosh, the shooting confidence is so low right now that everybody's just trying to look for their favorite shot to get some sort of a confidence booster. You watch over 15 in the second half. Like that's never gonna. That's not gonna happen with that shouldn't happen. But that's just where the confidence level of the team is. I think that's really like you're battling two different issues at the moment. You're battling a team that kind of got punked and has to like, oh, are you tough? And then the shot's not falling either. So like, oh, can we even play on the offensive end? So like, it's two separate mental issues kind of at the same time.
Yeah, when you think about it, Joe, I was gonna see if you realize what I was talking about, and you're right. In the Houston game, we got punked. You just called it. I mean, Houston said, "Oh, they're talented. They can spread you out and shoot." But they don't want to get in here and battle. They don't want to get down. It's almost like the O-line in football and the D-line. If one of those, you can watch a game and you can have all the wide receiver talent in the world or all the DB talent in the world. If your offensive line gets pumped by the other team's defensive line, then it doesn't matter. The quarterback, the wide receivers, and running backs become almost useless, Joe, or vice versa. If an offensive line dominates that front line in football, and they can start mashing on them and running the ball, the way Alabama, I always tell people about this. I remember when I believe to this day when this became a dynasty, Joe, when Alabama football became a dynasty, and you can have different opinions. But South Carolina Wildcat formation, Mark Ingram. I mean, when they lined up and said, "We're coming. We don't care what you do. You can do whatever you want. This is when this is who we are." And from that point on, it was no longer. Nick Saban said, "I want them to fear playing us." And from that moment on, to me, it's been like just a ride beyond our wildest imagination as Alabama fans. Okay, I believe that moment did that, and then you can look throughout history a couple other times where those types of moments happen for Alabama football. You remember the Georgia game when Fluker looked to the sideline and told the coaches to run the ball? He may have used a little more language than I did right there. And we went down in that Mark Richt game where we won, where we went down and we just manhandled, and we've done that several times. And that is what's going on with this basketball team, Joe. Houston showed you this team is talented. They have a lot of wide receivers. They have a lot of they have quarterbacks and all that, but they don't have a physicality to them, and you can make them quit. Now, once that happened, Joe, our shot went away. I mean, I can't, I can't. You can't always explain it, but once we got punked, using your term, inside, I think our outside shot was impacted by the fact that our confidence, period, as players was taken. Now, what's one of the best ways to get out of a shooting slump, out of a punk slump, out of a confidence slump? Is controlling. What's the one thing, no matter who you play, Joe, no matter where you play, no matter how the shot's going in, what's the one thing you control in basketball more than football that can still win basketball? And that's effort on both ends of the court. And we saw that, Joe, against LSU. Think about the effort we put in defensively in that game and the effort we put in on getting rebounds. I think at one point we had 35 rebounds and 15 of them were offensive rebounds. I mean, when your shot's not going, you have to control. When your shots are not going the way ours weren't, you have got to be aggressive on the offensive board. We did that. This team wins against LSU because they did find some of that effort. They did find some of that spunk. They did find some of that toughness. Is that enough to get this team moving forward? I don't know, Joe, and I'll let you close out with this after this thought, and then we'll transition on the other side unless the listeners want to keep talking about it. But Joe, when you think about it, Alabama won a game based off of against LSU based off of everything but our shooting. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yes.
Yeah, and so everything else we're talking about, toughness was shown, effort was shown, leadership was shown, and I think some confidence was gained on every area except for offense. And the only way you're going to get out of that is to keep shooting and start back trusting your shot. And you said a statement. You said they're trying to find their favorite shot. They're trying to get to their spot because everybody has their spot. Man, just take what the defense is giving you and be confident. But Alabama schedule sets up really nice for us to do that. With Missouri and Georgia, we could come off of a 3-game losing streak into a 3-game win streak before we go into a 3-game stretch. That what do we have to do in that 3-game stretch if we're going to be a contender? So I'll let you close. I'll close with you on those thoughts real quick.
Well, I think you're hitting on a lot of good points, but to me, it's I wonder about just the maturity level of the team, whether they're playing day in and day out. Coach Oates talked about James Rojas coming back to practice and really elevating the level of practice recently, showing the others that they haven't been practicing or working as hard as really they thought they had. So I'm hopeful that his presence day in and day out will help this team both in the practice gym and on game day, maintaining that edge. I'm also hopeful that we see Coach Oates maintain the substitution pattern that he ran on Wednesday. As soon as somebody is, because they may not be missing assignments or they may not be, oh, you're not tough. They may just be getting tired, or they may not be able to be mentally focused for a long stretch of time. So you just pull them out, you give them a couple minutes, and then you put them back in there. And you may just have to have a shorter leash with this team. I'm really anxious to see what happens tomorrow, because if we're gonna be the team we think we are, if we are the program and that we think we are, we should wipe Missouri off the court tomorrow pretty quickly. We should come out with the edge and pretty much never let them in the game, kind of like we saw Auburn do to Georgia this past week. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team responds. If we let Missouri kind of hang around and just kind of give us a game, then I'm going to be pretty disappointed, win or lose over the weekend.
Yeah, and that would be my thought and sentiment. Does Alabama need to come out and come through these next 2 games heading into the matchup with Baylor? Do they need to come off 2 dominant wins? Does it need to be 2 dominant wins by this top team for you to feel confident and even for them to get their confidence back? So we'll be watching that. I think that Bama needs to, in the same line with Joe, I think we need to have a double-digit win in terms of this game. Or if we don't have a double-digit win, that when the game is decided, we're up by double digits, if that makes sense. That they may get it under 10 down the stretch when they're just fouling and trying to get back in the game, but that we have command, I think, from tip to the clock going down to 0. I think that's important for this game as well as the next, for this team to get back. I had 5 things, and Joe, you added one more that I had that I didn't write down. I had effort, confidence, consistency, leadership, toughness, and you said maturity. And I think there's a player who represents all of that in a lot of ways, and that's Rojas, and he's back. And maybe that may be what this team needs to get back to that level that we want to see from this Alabama Crimson Tide team. We'll continue to follow the Tide right here, win or lose. We'll be talking about it on Monday, so make sure you tune back in with us. Coming back on the other side, we'll talk a little football right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything pretty quiet on the roadways on this Friday morning. If you do see conditions, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Come see the tremendous selection of pre-owned vehicles now with prices slashed at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer, and I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
My caretaker was very rough with me. I thought they did it because I wasn't moving fast enough.
Elder abuse is a crime, and together we can stop it. If you or someone you know has been abused, neglected, or exploited, call the Adult Abuse Hotline at 1-800-458-7214. That's 1-800-458-7214. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, the Department of Justice, ADECA grant number 18VA-VS050, the ABA, and this station.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said, it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com, that's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, boss man. Pat's on hold. You're on 2-1.
All right. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Hey, listen, great basketball conversation, which I absolutely love. And I'll give one final thought that was given to us by one of our, a couple thoughts that was given to us by our followers. Virgil Williams says, our inside game has got to get more physical. Too many soft hands on our bigs. When we get the ball low, we have no strength going to the rim. Same thing with rebounding. Control the boards. Rojas coming back, according to CJ Watson, is a leadership boost for sure. But Mizzou is an anomaly team for Alabama. They have our number. It sounds funny, but if Bama beats Mizzou, it'll show Bama overcame the fact that Mizzou is in their head. So, and that's kind of true. It's weird how it's all about matchups, probably as much as anything in basketball. And for whatever reason, Mizzou has probably upset Alabama as much as any team in the league. So it'll be interesting to watch that factor. Let's see what Pat has to say. Pat, welcome into the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir? Pat, you there?
Oh, looks like you dropped Pat.
All right, Pat. In honor of my friend Ryan Fowler, that drop brought to you courtesy of the Auburn Tigers. So, or maybe maybe we can start saying the Georgia Bulldogs. Why do I say that? The Georgia Bulldogs, Joe, may very well be as mission critical to the success of Alabama football in 2022 as any program in the country. Think about that for a second. Could the Georgia Bulldogs help the Alabama Crimson Tide team be winners in 2022 as much as any program in the country? Since we're ran a little long on the previous break, we'll go to break right here, come back, and we'll pick up that conversation. Why do I think, and I would like to get your thoughts, Georgia contributing to the Crimson Tide, maybe, just maybe, making another run at a national championship That conversation coming up on the other side.
100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything pretty quiet on the roadways on this Friday morning. If you do see conditions, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Come see the tremendous selection of pre-owned vehicles now with prices slashed at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer, and I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread. In the Town Square Media News Center, I'm Scott Michaels. Mercedes-Benz U.S. International is teaming with West Alabama Works for a virtual hiring event on Monday. Mercedes wants to fill production team member jobs. They start at $20 an hour. To learn more, visit westalabamajobs.com. 5 Tuscaloosa County schools and all 21 Tuscaloosa city schools are closed today because of COVID problems. Hopefully, we can get back to normal next week. In the Town Square Media News Center, I'm Scott Michaels.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Carving. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Carving can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curve series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Carving. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Carving, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Carving can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Carving at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Carving LLC.
Deep breath.
Mi's virtual meditation studio has never been busier.
Imagine not working.
They need a remote assistant to realign their scheduling.
Blank calendar. Sorry. Back to your breath.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Make calls, schedule virtual interviews, and talk to candidates right from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, Martin, you're back in 2-1.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It's a Friday edition of the Martin Houston Show. It's been a big-time conversation around basketball and Alabama taking on Mizzou tomorrow. Need a big win. And Joe and I think, both calling for double-digit win to feel good about this team because we were 13-point favorite the first time and got upset. So let's return the favor on the Mizzou Tigers on tomorrow. We did get news that Jalen Moody, Joe, went back into the portal. Took his name out of the portal. Is that good news, bad news, or neutral for Alabama football?
Anytime you can get a player with experience back, I think it's good news. You obviously said goodbye to Christian Harris, and maybe he saw that was going to be an opening for him to compete for a starting job. Maybe he feels good about his chances going up against Deontay Lawson and Kendrick Blackshire more so than obviously Christian Harris.
Yeah, I guess so. And that's what I thought. Well, Christian leaves, he's back in. And hey, here's the thing. I think Nick Saban may have recruited him back. I think that, you know what I mean? I don't think this was just him. I think, he trusted him and said, hey, listen, you're going to go out there and you're going to have to reprove yourself, because the rumor was that he was heading to Texas. And we saw what happened to, Keelan Robinson. Keelan Robinson goes out there and ends up being behind one of the best backs in the country, right? So just think about this team. Had Keelan Robinson stayed here in the role he would have had. And I think Nick Saban sold that to to Moody. And is Moody going to be a starter? I don't know. Is having Moody on this team going to help this Alabama Crimson Tide be better if he stays? Absolutely, Joe, because I think he will be the starter rolling into spring. And then somebody's going to have to beat him out just like Toa did. And so we'll see. And, of course, that's only going to raise the level of the linebacker core. And, hey, maybe having two experienced guys out there makes this team even better defense just on their talent, on the talent around them, getting them in the right place. So we'll be watching that as well. And then now Georgia, I was teasing this as we was going to break, Joe, is Georgia, both the state and the University of Georgia, are they positioning Alabama to make a run at a national title? If you were looking at our offense, biggest loss off of our offense this year, Joe, in your opinion? Wide receiver, running back, or tight end?
I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go. Jameson's the biggest loss.
Jameson, because
his unique skill set. I think you look at the running back. We've got running backs behind B-Rod. I liked what he brought to the table, but the tight ends certainly underwhelmed me this year. I think everybody would agree. I think Jameson's speed and his skill set's going to be tough to replace.
I think you're and I would agree with you. I wouldn't disagree with you there. You are going to be hard straight. The one thing you can't teach is 4-3. You can be the best coach in the world, Joe, but if you can't teach a man to take off the top end, what Jameson Williams did was make you play the entire length of the field and the entire width of the field. He could run away from guys going across the field, or he could run away from guys going down the field. When we lost him, what did Georgia do? They packed it in, because we had no one else that they felt threatened to go over the top. So I would agree with you there. Is Jermaine Burton that guy that can help us get there, or will one of the young guys? I don't know if you saw it or not, but Jermaine Burton, before it broke on the news, I was talking to, like I said, I got an inside scoop in the Georgia. He's on all of the Georgia message boards and all that. His first thing was Jermaine Burton name goes into the hat if Stetson Bennett comes back. And that's exactly how it happened. He supposes out of there because of Bennett. Is he a guy that can stretch? Did you find it interesting that they're reporting that Trayshawn Holden reached out to him and said, "Hey, come over here, let's talk"?
Well, he put it on Twitter so everybody saw it. But Trayshawn trying to bring in more talent. I guess he's up for some more competition at his own position.
Right. Think about that for a second. That lets you know. I mean, if you think that the Alabama players worry about competition, when I saw that, I was like, what? Big time news. So Jermaine Burton, is a guy that can definitely be one of those guys that could potentially help. Curtis Moore II asked, does Christian Leary have 4.3 speed? I think JoJo and Christian Leary are those types of guys, right? 4.3, 4.4 guys. But what was so unique about Jameson? How tall was Jameson? 6'2", 6'1", 6'2"? He was an outside guy. Christian Leary and JoJo, to me, Joe, are more internal slot type guys. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, and so that having 4.3, 4.4 slot guys is not as hard as it's not as difficult as getting, J-Mo at the height. Now we do have some height coming back, and that was interesting. Trayshawn and Ja'Cory and Jai Hall, all those guys are tall. And so that will be an element that Alabama has not had in its receiver core other than J-Mo. But I don't think those guys have that, straight line speed that he does. So, and we'll hold this conversation. There's a couple other things that we need to get to, but I always like to get to my callers. So if we have to kick the Georgia conversation, because Burton isn't the only one that's rumored to be coming from Georgia, and we'll see if any of them come. We know we already have Gibbs at the running back position. So the state of Georgia, thank you for Gibbs. We could be waiting on Burton and Washington. Let's transition to Pat. Pat, you're in with the Martin Hughes Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. Good morning, Martin. Kind of stole my thunder a little bit this morning. I wanted to talk about Jalen Moody. I think it's a tremendous piece, and I thoroughly believe that Coach Saban brought him back. Because to show up, hey, I just remember a few years ago, inside linebacker got to be awful thin. Where we were trying to see if we had a fullback or a running back that could play middle linebacker too. You know, if you remember correctly.
Yeah, well, we flipped it. We flipped the script issue. We were trying to find a linebacker that could play running back. So, but yes, I do. I do remember that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, is any chance that Theodore Nader worked his way into the lineup?
Who?
But wasn't he from Theodore, Alabama, when he went back to play running back?
Oh, DeMore Kennedy? I think he'll be back at linebacker.
That's what I'm hearing.
I think he'll compete for that. Some people see that and think, okay, this is a guy that's not ready to play, and so they moved him to running back. I don't think it that way. I think this is a kid that they liked a lot, and they like what he brings in his attitude and mindset, and I think that's why they may have even moved him. So don't be surprised if DeMore Kennedy doesn't compete for the job at linebacker as well.
Gotcha. I really think Coach Saban did a tremendous job bringing back Moody, though. They had some depth.
Yep.
Have a good day, Mr. Houston.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Pat. Was Moody a re-recruit by Nick Saban? We'll see. Is Jalen Moody going to make you write home about him? Probably not. But do I think Jalen Moody, if he stays at the Crimson Tide, name came out of the portal, does that help Alabama football? Yes. Does that mean that I think that he's going to be the starter? No, it doesn't. But I do think that it was a recruiting move by Nick Saban. And we'll finish the conversation around Georgia. Man, if we look at the positions we needed a running back, we needed a wide receiver, and we needed a tight end. Could we get two of those from Georgia, the University of Georgia, and we've already got one from Georgia Tech? Who else is Nick Saban going out in the portal? In the portal, we'll keep our eyes on the portal to see if Nick Saban pulls an offensive tackle in as well and see if we can land those guys. Hey, I'm Martin Houston. It's been a fun week, even though I was only here part of it. Thanks to Joe and crew and the team at Top 109 for a great week. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide and catch you on the flip side. Come check us out at Harvest Church on Sunday.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home.
Thanks, Martin. Have a great day.
Thanks, Joe. Have a great weekend, man.
Streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.